Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 32, Marmite Games. With me, George, as always joined by Tom, Marmite to my Bovril. How's it going?
Okay, thank you, mate. How are you?
They taste the same, don't they? One's a beef extract,
I tend to have Bovril when I go to football.
and the other one's a yeast extract, but they seem to taste the same. Why?
Very similar. I think Marmite's a bit more salty.
You'd know about that.
Anyway, enough of the condiment talk. Do you want to give the listeners a rundown of the show?
I don't think Marmite's a condiment. I thought condiments were like sauces and salts and peppers and vinegars. Mayo.
I'd class Marmite as a condiment. Maybe not Bovril, actually. Although it's,
It's best you stop talking now.
No, the Bovril you're talking about, does it come in a jar?
Yeah.
No, sorry, man. I'm on about the Bovril I get in a cup, which is basically warm gravy at the football.
Where do you think the Bovril in that cup comes from? Do you think someone at the football ground where you're alleged to drink it undoes the lid of a glass bottle, a jar of Bovril, takes a spoon, puts it in the cup and then pours boiling water on it? Or does the Bovril fairy just appear it in the mug?
I think if they know I'm coming, the man, Mr. Bovril, he brings it himself.
Does he transport it in a jar or is he just bringing it on a spoon?
He brings it per spoonful.
From the original vat?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very interesting. Your view of
VAT
the world...
69 it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
69 420, your gamer tag, whatever it is. Okay, so we'll give them a run through. I mean, I guess in that preamble, Tom, they've had a run through of really what this show's about. It's about spreadable products on toast. It's about Marmite Games. And that's not just games about yeast products, Tom. That's games that you either love or hate, or you hate or love, and others have the opposite opinion of.
Yeah, so our American cousins, it might sound a bit confusing, but in the UK we say, oh, that's a Marmite sort of subject or a Marmite.
Why would we say that?
As you just explained.
Yeah, but is Marmite a divisive product here?
It certainly is. It has always appeared to be. And
I'd love to see the stats.
Yeah.
Do you think exactly 50% of the UK population likes it and exactly 50% of the UK population
going on my
dislikes
experience, I think more people like it than dislike it.
Yeah, but we've all got the same blood.
Yeah.
And you don't really go out in the village, so you don't get to find out what normal people think. Anyway, skipping all that fun out of the way, they better stick round because coming up in the news...
Got a bit of everything, haven't we?
Well, a bit of everything. Let's look at some retro Nintendo news or not, but, keep your ears peeled for that, retro collectors. And then we've got the aforementioned discussion and review of all the different yeast products. Tesco Value one, as the Smart Price one, Marmite one itself. Then we slip into Listener Stingray, and then from there we pole vault clear into the real Stingray, which is the new release highlights.
Some good stuff this week.
And then I end the show when I ask you what you're hoping to play. But Tom, the show literally cannot start until I say to you, what you been playing?
Well, so as the listeners know, end of last week's show, I was itching to get away, get down to Asda, pick up a copy of Death Stranding.
Yeah, he's sickened.
Left it high and dry, left it editing with James.
I had chores till 3 a.m.
Yeah. The Village Asda is open like 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
So we've got an Asda in the village now. You need to slow down with the law. In between episodes, I try and write Similarian for the Unofficial Controller podcast, and it is hard. It is very tough.
I'm just going to come to you one day with a tome of like law for the village.
Oh, what, you're writing it? Not a chance in hell you're writing. There's more of a chance of us winning a BAFTA for best video games podcast and you stumbling through that door with a tome of law about this show.
Well, basically, I'll spiel on about the law and you and James can write it down.
That's how we...
Anyway...
You can't tell me what you've been
Enough
playing because you
arming.
want to do that in the feature.
Enough farming, yeah. I can't tell you. I played a little bit of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's had a patch recently.
10-year-old game? What's the story with that? Still
no,
playing
it's the new one.
Still in the distro. Remastered?
No, the new one.
Wow. So they brought the game out.
The one we did a whole feature around.
Well, we didn't really bring a whole feature around it. We talked all the way up to its door and then we turned off. So you're telling me in 2000 and whenever it was they brought out this game, then they did loads of sequels, then they remastered the original, only a year before, then bringing out a reimagining of the original game.
Yeah.
Let's go to the well, Tom. It looks pretty dry for Call of Duty this week.
Have you been playing anything else other than the feature title Death Stranding?
No, I've been away. And during the day, I'll be sat doing whatever it was, or wherever I was doing whatever it was I was doing. And I'll be thinking, I can't really play Death Stranding at the moment, which is a bit annoying because it's got its hooks into me.
Yeah.
So I was sat typing away or speaking away, doing whatever I was doing, and then in my mind I was like, oh yeah, well, you've brought your Vita, haven't you? And you've brought Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3, so maybe that can be your like Death Stranding light. It wasn't, and I didn't get a chance to play it. I think I've literally, until today, I have to confess, I hadn't played any games apart from the aforementioned one.
Yeah.
At all. But I have played the aforementioned one.
It's been a busy week.
Quite a little bit.
Yeah. So, I do think you should go to Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain after you finish Death Stranding, because I do see
Well, after that video sent me of a guy taking down a camp to, what was it again? Spandau Ballet Gold? Was it Gold? No,
Gold or True, I think. I think it's True. Yeah.
That was possibly one of the most beautiful gameplay videos I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
Did you know?
Because you're not a massive fan of stealth, but you can.
This wasn't stealth.
Exactly. Yeah,
stealth.
You can just go in like John Wayne in the Alamo, just blasting. So it's a good mix.
He
you can
went
do it either
kind
way.
of stealth till it went south, and then he killed a few guys, didn't he? Which I thought was pretty cool.
But no, it's a great game. That is very enjoyable. Shall we move on to the news?
Why don't we? We've scoured the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. First up, Tom, this is in your wheelhouse, you being the avid retro collector.
Comeback Tour 64. The Nintendo 64, one of our favourite consoles of all time here at the UC Bunker, is apparently seeing a resurgence on eBay. This fall period, with sales massively increasing, with the Nintendo Switch as well, doing well. George, do you think this may be down to not seeing the N64 Mini this year, as we've seen the NES and SNES Minis, respectively?
That's your logic, isn't it? I want the N64 Classic this year. It's not come out. Get me one on eBay.
Yeah, I think so.
And when you say the prices are rising, how much is an N64 these days?
I'm not sure.
Well researched.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Why don't you, while I just look into this next bit of news, why don't we let the listeners know what the going price is for an N64? Go on CEX or something, we'll find out. That'll settle the argument. So I'll take this next bit of news. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. No, it's not the Chuckle Brothers, but it appears the Google Stadia is taking a leaf from them with a list put out of all the missing features at launch, including crowdplay, the achievement system, the Buddy Pass, and last but certainly not least, some controllers. Tom, what sort of a console comes out without a controller? What are you meant to use in the interim?
It's a mess, isn't it?
But some controllers will be available at launch, but others may take a few days to arrive. Well, we don't know about you, but this is pretty poor, and if it's not ready, it should always be put back until it is. We feel this cheapens consoles and gaming as a whole when things like this happen and shouldn't be acceptable. Tom, Google, biggest company, one of the biggest companies in the world, brings out a product.
Yeah.
Not, to be honest,
have you seen that launch?
The show doesn't
well?
need you with your head in CEX trying to work out how to use
it's around £50 average with a controller and
massively increased.
So yeah, you could go for the Google Stadia without a controller or an N64 bundle on eBay. I know which I'd choose.
I thought you were going to come back with like £4,000.
No, I'm sure they're varying, but obviously the more popular something gets, the price increases, doesn't it? So it might see.
Would you get an N64 Mini if it ever came out?
I'm holding out hope they'll release like some of the games on the Switch, like they've done with the NES and SNES, and maybe that's why we've not seen the N64 Mini. They're maybe going to do the sort of titles available to online subscribers. Going back to the Google Stadia there, the launch lineup, it must be about, I think, 10 or 12 games, all of which
Did I misread that news, or are the controllers or not? Because the way James wrote this,
so I think there's a bit of a problem with...
Clarification, please, James.
There's a bit of a problem with the stock of the controllers. So, like, you might pick the console up and not get a controller with it.
Is it not bundled with a controller?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I think you might have to wait a few days for the controller to come. I mean, it's a joke, isn't it? Really, like release it when it's ready, please. It's not difficult.
I thought if you got the launch bundle, it came with the controller and all the good stuff that you needed.
Apparently so, but also apparently not. Going back to that launch lineup.
Doc James's wages.
Okay. All the launch titles are available now, and they've been available for like a year. 10 or 12 titles to launch a streaming service. Can you imagine if that was Netflix? Oh, we've got 10 or 12 TV shows and films. Week.
Yeah, we've got this series and there's over 50 hours of content in it.
Yeah.
Week. Is that week? Some of the titles they're launching with are huge. Red Dead Redemption, Odyssey,
But it's not
Creed.
what you'd expect from a streaming service, is it?
Well, we've got what I got to go to wondering is who's this Stadia aimed at?
I don't know. I mean, the price is good.
They must have done some research. Who's this aimed at? How much is one of these bad boys?
I'm sure it's like $49.99.
Is that a Tom fact?
I think so.
To the Google machine. No, I'm not that interested in Stadia. If the listeners are, maybe we'll do a Stadia special, but I can't see it happening.
No, I don't think it's going to take off. You got PlayStation Now and Xbox Games Pass. Speaking of which, we're going to move on to now.
Oh.
Good but not better. Sony has been pushing its Games Pass PlayStation Now recently and has slashed the price of the service in half, which we discussed a few weeks ago, to compete with Xbox Games Pass. But one feature they will not be replicating is releasing PS4 exclusives direct to PlayStation Now on day one of their launch. We really think Microsoft knocked it out of the park with this idea, and long may it continue for those of you who play using Xbox Games Pass.
To be fair, this is not disrespect to the Xbox, but when you're in a number 2 position, market stats, you can afford to be a bit racy, can't you? But I think that if they weren't in that position, would they release a AAA title into their streaming service? Because you've got to remember, if you are one of their studios and you've poured money into developing a game and you're expecting to sell it as a disc and a box and you therefore get a locked off certain amount of money, how does Games Pass work? How are the developers getting paid? Because imagine like Gears 5, if that wasn't on Games Pass, that might have seen like a real hard push of physical copies, people wanting to pick it up because they're hyped about the new game, but they get to just go home and why is independently pulling out single chest hairs more important than my conversation with you about Microsoft Xbox? What are you doing? So what do you think about that? How do the developers, how are they going to make this Games Pass work going forward?
It's risky. I can't because they're gonna launch the next Xbox with Halo, and you're telling me if you subscribe to the Games Pass, you're gonna get that.
Presumably, yeah.
And a lot of like first party development.
My other issue is once we get about 3 or 4 years in to Games Pass, it's going to be full of so much chelp, much like Netflix and Amazon, that you can't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah, true.
Although I did see a really, really cool feature on Xbox the other day that was called something like Surprise Me, and it would randomly flick off and go get an app or a game and bring it to the front and say, have you thought about this? I thought, wow, that's awesome. Like a random play or select or like a recommendation feature.
The reason I have kind of stayed clear of the Games Pass stuff is I'll go on Netflix and you start watching something and I'm like, oh, I wonder what, this is all right, but I wonder what that's like. I think there's too much choice.
This is what I'm saying.
I don't really think it reflects. I just want to get my AAA title, take it home, play it to death, finish it. Jobs are good. And I think when you start giving people too many options.
So then let me ask you the question again. If Microsoft weren't behind slightly in this generation, if they were in the number 1 spot, would they be even saying anything about Games Pass? I think it's great, and it's helped them bolster going forward. I think we need another show about this.
Yeah, because they do seem to be like trying to be the nice guys at the minute, obviously with the couple of releases they've given the Nintendo Switch, or Ori and Cuphead and so forth. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's good for gamers. But yeah, to answer your question,
at the moment,
yeah, to answer your question, I think maybe they'll be doing what Sony are doing. They'll be like, we're comfortable with our lead. We don't need to give anything away. And
well, Sony are trying to follow suit, aren't they? Because games.
Yeah, but they're not going to be giving away like Last of Us 2, are they, on PlayStation now? And the same with the other titles they've got coming up next year. The first party stuff, anyway. And they don't need to. And
is the video game charts like the last battleground that Sony stood on, and Microsoft's actually gone off to kick a ball around in another field altogether?
As in, you don't think it's important anymore?
Well, if your game's passing,
yeah,
your game's not even going to feature in the charts, is it? Because everyone's got it for free. So why are you going to get in your car and go ask her and buy it? You're not going to do that.
That's interesting.
This is my point I've been making for the last 15 minutes.
No, I hear you. You just explained it better that time.
Okay.
Yeah, bringing it into the sort of chart situation is, yeah. Well, look at music charts. Everyone used to pay attention to them. Now I couldn't tell you what is even in the charts.
They're still on a Sunday afternoon if you want.
Are they?
Yeah, if you want to get a bit retro. Dr. Fox.
But yeah,
is he the practicing? Look at me bringing in some law. Is he the practicing doctor in the village? Now the charts has crashed. Doctor.
You telling me to slow down with the law?
This is a character I think.
He's the local GP, is he? He delivered us.
Yeah, he did. Dr. Fox.
Call the midwife, call Dr. Fox.
Yeah, and he plays a jingle when you're born.
Love it.
You've got some more
James,
news.
get writing down.
This week you've been behind enemy lines, camoed up in green, so you fit in with the aesthetic. You've been watching the Xbox announcements.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about this.
So last night was XO19. I gave it a little watch. I mean, I don't own an Xbox, but I used to, so it's kind of important that...
Find out what you could have won.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. One title that really piqued my interest, and we've discussed the golden era of Rare games, and they're sort of... I thought Sea of Thieves was okay, actually, when I played it. It was very bare bones at launch, but it had a lot of charm to it.
The same thing that people would level at No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves. And I thought vanilla No Man's Sky was good. At Sea of Thieves, I feel like Rare are desperate. They just want to make a game of their own.
Yeah. It felt like they've been a bit strangled in some way.
Fed up of drawing avatars. I think they got forced to make Sea of Thieves. A studio is best when it's making its own thing.
Yeah. So last night they pledged a lot of support to Sea of Thieves still, but they're a big enough studio that they can support doing two big titles.
Well, they can certainly support doing DLC for a 3-year-old game and bringing out a new one, can't they?
The new title is called Everwild. There aren't a lot of details about it, but there's a trailer if you want to...
trailer piqued my interest.
Yeah, definitely. A really nice visual art style.
What did I liken it to? Viva Pinata, but for bigger boys. It's probably nothing like that at all.
No. Let's hope, because we don't really know much about it, let's hope it's like a action-adventure game.
But no Fable 4?
No. I think that probably needs a little bit more time.
Do you think that's going to be an Xbox 2?
I think that'll be a...
What are they going to call the next Xbox? They've kind of put themselves in the corner, really, haven't they? And what was the first Xbox called now?
Xbox Original.
Well, when did that get retconned? Because we always used to call it Xbox One. So did the magazines.
Yeah, but when they brought out the Xbox One, they can't do that. So yeah, Everwild, hopefully Rare back to its best, but that's probably a long way off, and it'd be nice if it was a launch title for the new Xbox, but we'll see.
If it is, they've got some interesting things shaping up with Halo 5.
Oh, they showed a little bit of Obsidian's new title, Grounded. A survival game. It's set in a suburban backyard where a group of 4 friends have to fend for themselves, really. The interesting thing is, they've been shrunk down like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I was going to say, Tom, this sounds like the most boring game we've ever heard of, 4 people surviving in a backyard. But with the added context of being the size of an ant.
So it's a 4-player co-op experience, and basically you've shrunk down to that sort of size where they're obviously similar to the film.
I'm guessing the information is a little bit scarce, but you say 4-player, persistently 4-player, or have they hinted anything, said anything, or are you making this up as we go along? And they are?
Yes, a bit of both.
Okay.
A bit of both.
Excellent. One question I've got for you. When Blizzard announced Overwatch 2, this is like the grilling of Tom. I've got the I know this is
Is this
audio.
what the Americans call a roast?
Yeah, this is what... Yes, it is.
Well, I'm doing you next week then.
That's fine. You do me every week. Like an absolute kipper, done up with an apple in my mouth. If last week or a couple of weeks ago you were very excited because Overwatch 2 was announced.
Yes.
They don't know when it's coming out.
All Jeff Kaplan said, who's the head of the sort of game of Overwatch community, has said, stay tuned for next year's BlizzCon. So we're at least a year away. I think...
Were they trying to curry favour and deflect because of the recent controversies with Hong Kong? I know what will win us back favour because we handled that badly. Let's announce probably one of our most popular games' sequel. When's it coming out? Don't know. We're going to make one, obviously.
Oh, this is a really good point, actually, because it's going to take me to something we discussed earlier in the week about Overwatch 2 and Jeff Kaplan's thoughts on the fact that it all got leaked before the big show. I think sometimes we forget with our hunger and thirst for rumours and news and leaks, and so I'm especially guilty of this, we forget about the people behind the scenes who spend a lot of time going and making these wonderful games.
I love
great
it.
Experience.
This is on record now, so next time I catch you with your nose in GameInformer.20 set to 9420 username, you can stand up and be counted.
Okay. Mumsy will not be impressed with.
Having read the entire leaked script for the new Star Wars film coming out.
Guilty as charged.
Then told everyone in the playground, oh, you'll be surprised when Boba Fett comes back. I'm hoping he's not in it, as I have ruined it for someone.
No, I think the damage is done by people who produce the leaks. Like, if you see something like that, you should keep it to yourself, be excited. But these people spend a lot of time developing these things, and Jeff's words were pretty crushing. It's like they were just gutted. Like, it was all leaked on the internet a few days before the big show. I think it's pretty disgusting, really.
Let me look at it this way. Normally you're scouring the internet for the equivalent of a chocolate bar. You eat the chocolate bar, it makes you fat and you feel a little bit guilty because you've had it. But then the next day you still go on there looking for it. You're the absolute biggest...
but I'm not choosing to share that chocolate bar with others and make them fat.
You drop enough oblique spoiler references round me to leave me raising my eyebrow. Oh, when you get to that bit in Red Dome, mate, just be careful. Like, I've never played a game hanging onto my hat so hard in my life. Ever. Don't change your hat. Oh, right, okay, I better not do that. Oh, don't change your rules as well. Stick with the same one from the start. Oh, right, okay, I'll do that. Through hell and high water, I stuck with that. And for what? Now, boy.
Crushing scene, that.
Crushing scene.
So, yeah, henceforth, no more reports on leaks, Tom, from us.
We broke until next week. Until next week.
It's not happening. I will not do it. James has been forewarned.
Has he?
Yeah.
We broke our own rules. We had bonus news and didn't say bonus news. What's wrong with us?
Yeah, we didn't do that. But we've given the fans a bit more news than usual, so hopefully they're happy.
Well, let me ask you this, Tom. After that news fest, they gorged. They feel like it's Christmas afternoon. They're reaching for the remote. They want to find a decent film. They're going to end up with a feature about Marmite Games. But before they reach over there, did we miss anything? Do you, dear listener, have an opinion or take on the news that we missed? If so, Tom, time to roll up the sleeve and show us that tattoo that you were embarrassed about 15 years ago. But it paid off. We got the web domain and we're all good. How would they how would they interact with us?
You can reach us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com, as a few of you do. Or direct messages like most of you do on Instagram or Twitter. We better do a quick call to arms this week. So please tell your friends, your family,
is this
anyone.
the bag?
This is the bag. Doing it right now.
We'll do the bag.
Leave us 5-star if you think we're 5-star. Of course you do.
No.
Of course you do.
Leave us 5-star, else Mumsy, that character that Tom wanted, completely whitewashing out the show.
She might be whitewashed out the show in the Christmas special.
Don't.
Like a plane falls on the bunker.
Oh, here we go. Let's build the anticipation. They're going to listen to every episode just to get as much Mumsy as they can before we kill her off.
Like we teased the feature last week and then it's a different feature.
Yeah, but, dude...
It's coming. It's in the works.
Are they not allowed to tease the new Star Wars? There's a few films out in the cinema before it comes out.
Good point.
Come on.
Good point.
Come on.
We're too harsh on ourselves, aren't we?
We're a much bigger media platform than that. We've got many different things that we can rock and roll. So where are we going with this?
We are going...
You're doing the beg.
Yeah, the beg.
Stay focused.
Stay focused. Yeah.
Don't run.
Don't run. Where are we sending them then?
Well, we want them to go to every single site that we're on and like and share and do all that good stuff. So Twitter, I think we're on Twitter. Sometimes I forget. We're on Instagram. Someone's going to have to dedicate a couple of tins of Monster Energy drink, the only thing that survived the apocalypse, chain James to the 486 gaming PC and make him upload all the outstanding content to... outstanding as it's not on there yet, not that it's amazing, content onto YouTube.
Yes.
Well, the fans like it.
The YouTube?
Just the content.
I think visually there's no video, but it's...
Well, this is the man who wanted a picture, but then last week of his T-shirt, not my face. I've listened back to that. Yeah, it's sweet. It's like, not my face, not my face, but not my face. It was almost like someone on the Cook Report, like Roger Cook's like, have you been scamming people with like dodgy T-shirts? And you're like, not my face, Roger, I've got to work with this face. I don't want people to recognise me in my local Lidl.
Asda.
Sorry,
getting the law right.
Farmerton was half demolished to make way for a megaplex Asda that's normally got 3 cars in the car park. It's literally in the middle of nowhere.
We will fill that car park with characters one day.
Not when you land the plane on them on Christmas. And Ponsonbury, I showed Ponsonbury the Excel spreadsheet for the money we'd need to make the Christmas special. 90% is your wages. The other 10% is on sound effects. And
even better.
I thought he was going to have another heart attack. Not Neil
heart
McCann.
attack or heart attack?
No. After Neil's disastrous showing down at the village hall last week.
What happened there? I had it kicked off.
I just came into town. Kicked him out. Yeah, Rolf Harris back on the scene. As far as I'm concerned, Tom, he was an artist that was on children's TV.
Oh, we're still recording, are we? We didn't edit that out?
No, we didn't, no.
Okay. Well, I think we best move on.
Guilty till proven innocent.
Guilty, then.
We're PG. There's no swearing. It's just on the edge.
Yeah.
It's the Simpsons at best. They'll make a Harris joke.
Yeah.
They've made worse.
Can we just like... I like the village to be a nice place. So can, like, a hitman... come, we've just made this up.
Or maybe he could
Hitman Kane.
Why don't we let him be a temporary resident till Christmas?
No. This needs to be put to bed now. Neil Buchanan paid a hitman.
So outraged, he's gonna know.
Neil Buchanan paid a hitman to come along. Rolf's been taken out.
Well, that's in the law.
Yeah, that is law.
So desperate for it to be clean. Unbelievable. Let's get to the feature and see how many people we can upset between here and when I call it a day on this godforsaken show. Video game Marmite feature. Welcome to this week's feature. We talk divisive games. Games you love, others hate. Or games you hate, others love. As always, you guys got in touch to share those treasured or not so treasured memories. Now, before we launch into a wax lyrical piece that I'm going to have to confess Shuhei Yoshida has paid us for, the fluff piece for Death Stranding. Should we read out the listeners' comments? What do you think?
Could do, yeah.
Is that what you want to do? Are you with me? I mean, I bought you a triple espresso.
I'm with you. I'm
Still
just wondering whether
flatline.
it's a good idea. Yeah, let's read those out first for their choices of Marmite games.
And then they can stop listening.
Games they love, but others hate. First up, Boba Loba.
Here he is.
I can't pick out a particular game.
Why don't we? Normally we walk people in as something based around the feature. Why don't we walk them in as our favourite spread on toast?
Go for it.
So who's Boba Loba then?
He's strawberry jam.
Is he?
He is.
Easy,
sweet,
yet safe bet for you.
Yes.
We're going to see the very depths of your spreadable on toast product
you
knowledge.
do not even know the depths of spreadables. I know.
So are we in agreement now that Marmite's a spreadable?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a condiment.
No, okay, I agree. It's
Bring some of
spreadable.
that Marmite in here. I want it on side of my
Enough
plate.
Marmite talk, because we must be confusing people very much.
I hate to tell you this, but there's probably 3 or 4 pages dedicated to Marmite.
Is there? Okay. We best get rattling then. Boba Loba, I can't pick out a particular game, but I've never got into any RTS games. I've tried a few, but never found one I enjoy. Talking of Death Stranding, though, not having a PS4, I've started watching a playthrough on YouTube, and it looks really interesting. I've watched the first hour, and I have so many questions. Looking forward to watching more.
I've done that with a few games that I haven't been able to get access to, that I've been curious about. Just have a little look, see what the crack is.
I don't tend to do where Boba Loba's watched it from the start. I'm like the new Gears. I just went somewhere in the middle of the story and just had a bit of a gander at what it was actually like.
Right. Anyway, he says he doesn't like RTS games, much like yourself.
Oh, he's got me there, hasn't he?
The hardcore listeners will know.
They will.
But he's been watching this playthrough of Death Stranding. I spoke to him this week and I asked him if he had any questions, please send them in and we would look to answer them. But he's like, no, I want to explore it vicariously myself through this guy. Fair enough, Boba Loba. Enjoy.
Who we got next?
Well, slithering in like a loaded knife of Nutella, Tom, it's King Lizard. I love Rise, son of Rome. I went safe, didn't I? I'm a bit worried about what my next pick's going to be if you pick Marmalade. It's like Family Fortunes, isn't it? Oh, God, what's the last one going to be? Anyway, King Lizard, I love Rise, son of Rome. Being a big hack and slash fan and having all those different ways of dispatching your enemy is amazing. Clapping emoji, fire emoji. Graphically, it's an amazing game with a good campaign. Totally underrated in my book. Fire emoji. He's into that. Did you play that? You were an Xbox One man. Did you have Rise?
No, because it was a launch title. I picked up the Xbox One, as many listeners know, I think a year after launch. So I never really got to play that. It does look wicked, like graphically.
That'd have been like 50p
it's a real
at CEX. You just left it.
I think if we'd have got in the 360 mindset when we'd have been bimbled down Xbox One launch, we'd have been picking that up.
Rise.
Yeah, I think it's underrated just from looking at the videos of it. Another one.
It's the cameo of games.
It is. Next up, comic pictures rolling in.
Cameo elements of power. It's like that.
That wow factor of like...
I suppose. Some of those textures were pretty good day one, week one of 360, weren't they, on Cameo?
Mate, all the launch games are great. The ones we got, anyway.
I think you played them all. Condemned was good.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand here and say I think the 360 launch was probably my most satisfied launch as a gamer. I felt like the cat that got the cream.
I really hope, because usually launches aren't that great. There's usually 1 or 2 good titles, if that. I really hope with PS5 and Xbox they just go for it. Just the timing feels right. That they both can knock out some good sequels to launch the consoles with. So we'll see. Next up, Comic Pictures 79 rolling in like Cunningham's potted beef.
You spread that, do you?
I do.
I'm
Spread that all over.
Very schoolboy going forward now.
I think Tomb Raider is way better than Uncharted. Bold, that is. And I also think Columns is better than Tetris. Forza is better than GT, Gran Turismo. But then I also love Jet Set Radio and Space Channel 5. I think Kojima games are pants. Better turn off now for this feature then. Dark Souls isn't that hard till Journey 5. I think Skyrim is better than Zelda. Link to the Past excluded. I think Night is the best Arkham game. I agree with you on that one. Oh, and the prequel Star Wars movies are trash.
Which one's Night? The one that came on the new console?
The third one. People don't like the Batmobile, but I think they worked it as best as they could in that world. I think it's actually quite good. The story is awesome in Night.
like, Night was okay, but the one I had most fun with and felt most sort of Batman-y in was the first Arkham Asylum. That's just personal opinion, though.
Yeah, I remember going to pick up Arkham City. I was like really excited to play that, and I literally just hammered it, played it so much from start to finish. But if looking back now, I think Night is the strongest game. It's like an amalgamation of all the good things of the previous 3 titles, because obviously they did that. Another company did that. Arkham Origins. That had a really good thing with the boss fights. They were excellent. Yeah. Other than that, it's a little bit weak compared to the others.
Very weak.
Who we got next?
Tech Mike Ruse. Do you know what he likes on his toast, Tom? He just likes a little bit of unsalted butter. It's technically a spreadable pal, isn't it? Hey?
Yeah.
Look at you. He kept it simple. Kiss. Tech Mike Reviews, what's he got to say? He says, I would have to say, one of the games I loved back in the day, this is a game I always intrinsically tie into December 1999, New Year's party at your house with Mumsy. I would have to say one of the games I loved back in the day was DK64 for the N64. This game gets a lot of negativity and I've never understood why. My siblings and I used to play this game a ton. We would take turns on the single player and loved the multiplayer.
I forgot it had a multiplayer.
Apart from the DK rap, I don't think that hurt anybody.
I think it was an excellent game. It's pretty tough as well.
Oh, yeah.
Lot of collectibles, lot of bang for your buck.
It wasn't tough. It was a test of your patience. Maybe more like a dark... I'm not saying it's Dark Souls.
I love the fact that they expanded the Kong family and they each had their own abilities, different weapons. And I thought it was really well done. Great game.
I loved it. And every time I ever play it, I feel like I'm about to turn it off and go to yours.
Okay.
That vibe, that whole N64... WrestleMania 2000. Although the next month I shopped it all up the road for a Dreamcast, a demo disc, and a copy of Sonic Adventure.
Sold your soul.
So every console iteration, apart from until I've been a proper grown up, I've had to sell my soul to get on board.
Well, coming out of the river like fresh salmon pate, Finster Gamer.
Fresh roe eggs.
I was in a local game store a few weeks ago and we were talking about what we've been playing recently. The guy actually laughed at me when I said I've been playing loads of Overcooked. I loved it. I don't care who knows. It's frantic, hilarious couch co-op experience that has you properly working as a team or screaming at each other in anger. You feel like the dog's danglers when you nail it as a team.
Finster Gamer. I'd liken him to be a mega fan. Do you think he rolls into his local video game store and plays podcasts? He just like goes to the guy, leads on the counter and goes, "What have you been playing?"
I hope so.
He's in there. It's nice that... I mean, we get this in our local video game stores in Farmerton, down at Finster Games. He went down his own store and asked them what they've been playing. We don't want to put too much lore into this real-world comment, Tom, because it's all going to fall apart. Now we arrive at the section I like to call Marmite Gate, an insight into the community, Tom. It all went off. Now, because we've got worldwide listeners, Chronicles of Gamer said, "Excuse, good fellows, what is Marmite?" And you responded, "A spread." So earlier today, you admitted that it was a spread. You could put on toast or bread, etc. People either love or hate it.
You know those monkeys with the clapping cymbals?
Yeah.
They're like wind-up ones.
Yeah.
That's, if you want an insight into the mind and workings of me, that is it.
Once again, just writing down all the things the bigger voice said and say them in your own voice. And Finster Gamer responds to you with, "It's gross, it is what it is. It's basically like eating tar."
Oh, there's a man who hates it then.
Yes, very much. Chronicles of Gamer finds that hilarious, but look out, because Comic Pictures 79 weighs in with it's a thick yeast-based gravy. But it doesn't taste like gravy. It tastes like, well, actually, I don't know what it tastes like, but it smells like bottom. Finster Gamer thinks that's pretty hilarious. Probably got to edit that out. But then we've got Comic Pictures saying, I genuinely don't think there's an equivalent product in America. You have to possess that uniquely British type of self-loathing to even consider eating something that foul. My response to Comic Pictures was, I hate myself and I love Marmite. It seems like Chronicles of a Gamer wants to come all the way over to London on a vacation again so we can try out this famous Marmite stuff.
Well, I tell you what.
What?
Let me make more promises we'll probably never keep.
Oh, I can't wait.
In the next loot chest, when we finally get round to doing one for the pick of the month, might be Christmas time for this loot box, we'll chuck in a pot of Marmite.
Don't forget, your only contribution to this next loot box is some Marmite.
Okay.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Who's the current champion?
Radbash Gaming?
We need to send Radbash Gamer a signed piece of the script before you go, before you slip off in your stretch limo.
Yeah.
From Lionel's limos. Yeah, Lionel Blair has to do limos at night time because there's not a lot of law to practice in the village. Before you slip off, we need to sign that, and then I need to send that to the good old US of A.
Okay.
Anyway, Chronicles. There's a little insight.
Has he chose his print yet?
That's all delivered, done.
Excellent.
Well, it's on its way.
Yeah.
He's got a long way to go, hasn't it?
Is
Kevin the courier, he looked at the address and he was like, crikey, mate, I've got to buy a boat.
I thought it was going by Hercule Air.
Who's that?
Hercule. He's a Greek delivery man.
Line up, get behind Newton for people that can kill off at Christmas. Holy hell. Why are you writing the script in red?
The plane crash needs impact, so we've got to get some more characters out in.
Thousands dead. In between now and Christmas, we've got to come up with 998 2-bit characters that we're just going to kill. Well, minus another one, because Mumsy's going to bite the bullet as well.
She won't.
Unless
the fans demand she lives.
If you'd have been thinking, like the cerebral assassin you are, you might have mentioned in the beg, Mumsy. Let's start a campaign. Fans, if you want to see Mumsy continue in the show, between now and Christmas, we want free Mumsy. You know, like Deirdre Barlow had the free Deirdre and all that sheet nonsense. We want the same for Mumsy. We want Mumsy, free Mumsy. We want Instagram posts of like free Mumsy, the Mumsy one, all that. We need Mumsy to live. If I don't see Retro Gamer Thomas posting with a picture that he's drawn up on crayon of a picture of Mumsy begging for her to stay in the show, Christmas time, tune in, because she's going to be at the very epicenter of a 747 career and out the sky because of lack of maintenance, because your weekend job, you were a little bit distracted playing Switch when you should have been lubricating the undercarriage of the 747.
Always slacking off.
Anyway, we've meandered all over the goddamn place, Tom, but now he's cleared up what Marmite is, Chronicles of Gamer is going to wade in. Now, Chronicles of Gamer is what I would call a thick-cut marmalade jam. Is it a marmalade jam or is it a marmalade?
No. You can have marmalade jam if you want.
No, I don't think you can. I think we'll just call it marmalade. Anyway, he's one of those real nice, expensive ones. You know, like Robinson's Finest. Chronicles of Gamer. Well, Shadow of War was a huge disappointment for me. Mad Max was extremely underrated. Batman Arkham Knight was lackluster. Conan Exiles was a piece of turd. Is that suitable? It's fine. The Apple guys give me the thumbs up. It's completely fine to say turd in a PG podcast. Marvel's Spider-Man was everything Arkham Knight should have been, and it was fantastic. Detroit Become Human was boring. Horizon Zero Dawn was great. I enjoyed Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. Hellblade, Sensuous Sacrifice. I presume that was very mediocre or wasn't very mediocre. Maybe a typo on my behalf. Apologies, Chronicles of a Gamer. He says Mafia 3 was pathetic and the Medieval remake is awesome.
Interesting.
Do you agree with any of that? Some of that? All of that? None of that? What's your thoughts on Chronicles of Gamer?
Some of that and not some of that.
Shadow of War, is that Mordor Shadow of War?
Yeah.
They look awesome games.
They're great.
I've watched someone play a lot of that, but I've not played it myself.
So the sequel which I believe is
cross-platform, cross-gen, isn't it?
Yeah, it suffered from like this scandal of you either had to grind a ridiculous amount or you had to get your wallet out and buy some.
What, Shadow of War suffered from that? I've not. The person I've watched play it. Have they took all that out now?
Is the one you've watched the person playing the one where you can take the fortresses?
Yeah, I think so.
That's the sequel. Yeah, it's a shame they did that, really, but I don't know. Maybe the grind wasn't as bad as people said.
Okay. Now, what sort of spread is this guy? In fact, let's face it, this guy...
He's mushed up microchips on toast.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Who is it? As if they don't know already.
Retro Gamer
The
Thomas.
man who's going to post a post on his story of a picture of a crayon drawing of Mumsy saying, "Free Mumsy." Maybe a little tear in his eye?
Maybe.
That's going to drive people to the page.
I don't know.
A grown
Or
man
drive
crying
him away.
over...
Or drive him away.
Come on. I will go and check that out.
Okay. Retro Gamer Thomas.
Are you going to put the words in his mouth, or shall I?
I will. I have to admit that a game that nearly everyone hated, I actually really enjoyed playing with my mates, and that's Tony Hawk's 5. Yes, it was a bit glitchy and the graphic style wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but I thought it was beautifully simplistic. Go online with your mates and try and complete challenges. I think the people that complained about the game were the EA Skate generation and hadn't played or grew up with original Tony Hawk series. I thought it was just a good arcade skateboard game.
Retro Gamer Thomas. Tea, anyone? Oh, what's in there? And he's got like a copy of Tony Hawk's 5 jammed in the top of it. That's where my head went at that point. mark.garage.gamers, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
He is... What is he? He's... You know that marshmallow stuff they call fluff that you spread on toast?
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
Caught you slipping. Mark.garage.gamers likens himself to a piece of marshmallow spreadable. That's their name now. I'm in. I choose Far Cry 2 PS3. You must be a fan of this. My favourite game. I think this did pretty well with the critics. However, I couldn't get to grips with it. The weapons just didn't work long enough, so I had to pick up others during a shootout whilst being pelted with bullets. Adding to the fact you had malaria, so taking medication at regular points just frustrated me. I still have the game in I've number 3, which I still play through a little now and then. So should I go back to it after all these years? Keep up the good work, fellas. And he also goes on to say, I remember from a previous episode, you enjoyed it. Hence the Marmite game. See, we don't all...
We really like when
skip
listeners
Stingray.
actually remember more than we do about our own show.
I think they all remember more than we do about the show.
Definitely. Probably the law.
Mark.GarageGamers, did you like Far Cry 2?
Yeah, I did. We both played it at the same time, didn't we? Yeah,
I really
good.
liked it.
Yeah.
I like the fact it was slowed down and realistic, but Mark.Garage... And we'll get to this when we get to Death Stranding. We like boring games.
Next up, coming in with a big old dollop of Reese's peanut butter spread.
Ooh, God. The barrel's dry and we've got one more to wheel out. I'm nervous.
I'll just hit you with a Ric Flair. Boom! Low blow.
Oh.
Okay, Doogie McBain. I have to go with the game I talk about all the time, of course, Shenmue. I couldn't get enough of this game. I loved the first one so much that I must have completed it 20 times before I even attempted Shenmue 2. I can see why this game was loved by folk, but also hated by folk. The voice acting was awful, the controls were awkward, the waiting about to be at a certain place at a certain time can be really boring. But these are things I love. I never felt so involved in a game before. I love this game so much I even let my wife tattoo the logo on my arm. I cannot express how excited I am for Tuesday when I finally get my hands on Shenmue 3.
I hope she's a tattooist.
I do. It's nice when we get a comment like this because we feel about that way about certain games and that excitement for a long-standing series, new entry, and this one has certainly been a long wait coming, hasn't it?
I was going to say, I can't wait to get my go in the mic hole because I'm going to tell you, this game we've been waiting a long time.
Yeah.
I've grown a 60-foot long beard waiting for this game. Much like my hair on my face has grown down and your hair has grown up 60 foot in the air when you move on. Anyway, I said to all the show, this is awesome, dude. A Shenmue special is coming, so that should give you something, dear listeners and Doogie, to look forward to. Doogie's very excited about that. Oh yes, cannot wait.
Do you do that thing when you get that big release you've been waiting for of the new title in the new series?
What's that thing?
I don't know. So when Breath of the Wild came out, when I wasn't playing it, I'd be watching YouTube videos about it or buying the magazine about the Zelda series, and just all encompassing. Played Metal Gear Solid 5, went and bought like this thick magazine from W.H. Smith's where it went through all the games and the lore and the history, and I just
still got that.
Yes, I have. If you'd like to borrow it,
mine,
so you can get caught up.
Mine.
So yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
I don't think anyone else does that. I think let's talk about Red Dead and what you bought off the back of that. You bought
oil lantern.
Yes.
Like Navajo throw for the room.
Yeah. Topped up the whiskey collection.
Yeah. A cowboy hat, pretty much. Yeah.
You couldn't write this. This is genuinely legitimate, real stuff that you went and bought off the back of that game.
Yeah.
Anything else?
If I could, I'd have bought a repeater carbine, but you can't buy them in this country unless they're like decommissioned.
And then, do you want to tell the listeners?
A knife as well. Bowie knife.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to bring that up, but one more thing before you slip off the leash. Do you want to tell the listeners what you turned up in today, or shall I?
Oh,
I
can see you reveling in the excitement of telling this. Go for it.
So we know Tom's famous.
No, shall we close out the thing because
we haven't even talked about the game that we thought was Marmite.
Yeah, so we'll tie into that with your thoughts on what I turned up in today. So
okay.
Let's close out with sending us to the bridge. Harvey Retro. What sort of spread is he?
Is it my turn?
Yeah, I've done you dirty there.
Oh, Tom, what is he?
Come up with a spread.
Tell you what Harvey Retro is. I love him. No, he can't be Marmite, can he? I just don't know.
He's a seriously strong cheddar spread.
Wow, it's Philadelphia cheese. He's not strong. He's just ever present. He says, "Sorry, Harvey Retro. If you weren't closing the show out, you'd have been something strong like Reese's. But you're sending us to the bridge, so we've literally ran the cupboard dry." Harvey.retro, he says, "My favourite Marmite game has to be a game I've mentioned before, Alien Isolation. This game was definitely Marmite. Very mixed reviews. I remember IGN giving it a really low rating, but others praised it highly. For me with this one, maybe being a fan of the original 1979 movie and the pace of that film helped understand that dramatic tension and the slow burn effect are incredibly important for this, and knowing it'll all be worth it when you're plunged into the terrifying threat later on. Once again proving that I had no attention span with that game, apart from looking at the stuff and going, oh, this is just like the film. So, that probably denotes where my brain's at. When it's just you and the xenomorph, it knows your every move. The whole place is in flames and the self-destruct timer is counting down and your heart is racing. That was the magic of the first film, and that's what they were going for, and they nailed it, in my opinion. That's it from me. Looking forward to the show. Raise hands emoji. Well, the only person that's getting raised hands is us to you, Harvey Retro. Awesome work, and thank you as always to all the fans that got in touch to share with us their divisive games. Tom, Death Stranding, released November 2019, is the first game by Kojima Productions. It's from the director Hideo Kojima and his fledgling studio, the aforementioned Kojima Games, after their disbandment from Konami in 2015. The game is set in the United States during the aftermath of the eponymous Death Stranding, which caused destructive creatures from a realm between life and death to begin roaming Earth. Players control Sam Bridges, motion capped and captured as Norman Reedus, a.k.a. Daryl from The Walking Dead, a courier tasked with delivering supplies to the fractured and isolated colonies that remain, and reconnected them via a wireless communications network. Metacritic holds the game, it is rather strong, 83%, but critics' reviews range from the perfect 10s to 40%. The user reviews are equally as divisive. Tom, So, just the fans can understand where you're at about this game. Today you walk through the front door of the bunker wearing a blue anorak with the hood up.
It had the proper peak as well.
With a peak.
The peak.
With orange accents.
Where have we seen that before?
Play the game, live the game.
There was a time fall outside, so I had to suit up.
Suit bag up.
Yeah.
Right. What's your thoughts of this game? Is it Marmite for you, or do you just love the goddamn taste of this stuff?
So I'll get to my few dislikes.
If you're listening and you're panicking that, oh my God, I haven't had time to play this because I've been away and I know it's sat there waiting for me when I get back, we're not going to go past the first 3 chapters. And we will, if you don't want to have this spoiled in any way whatsoever, and I would say the best thing you could do is go into this game blind, right, Tom?
Yes.
Maybe skip forward to listen to Stingray.
Yeah,
and then when you've done
idea.
the first 3 chapters of the game, which should take you roughly about 20 hours, come back, knock on the door, get in the feature, listen to all the divisive games, and listen to me and Tom waffle on about this game for 10 or 15 minutes.
That long?
Very best.
Well. Let's hope I've got enough content for that. Yeah. Pretty mind-blowing to start with.
Let's talk them through that start.
Yeah.
The camera pan and the music is the one I'm thinking of most of all.
I'm thinking of you bezzing along on the bike because the rain's coming.
This is cutscene.
This is cutscene, but in-game graphics engine. He gets to a sort of bit of an edge of a cliff, and he's thinking, "Oh, I can make that jump because there's all the animals are like fleeing this time shower, which in turn brings these otherworldly elements, baddies, which are called BTs."
Mm-hmm.
He makes a jump and then is this where it cuts into gameplay? You see a character and you swerve, don't you? Yeah, that's it. You see Fragile, the female character played by Lea Seydoux, motion captured. And you end up in this cave, and the timefall, she kind of shows what the timefall does. It ages your skin, and I think Sam's got a slight wound there as well.
Well, it doesn't just age your skin, it ages everything it touches. You see plants go through a life and death cycle in front of you really quickly, and you see lots of interesting things going on.
But I think for me it was after that point where you walk out the cave and this awesome song plays, and you just journeying, and it doesn't say you need to go here. Just leaves you. You kind of follow the right path because your natural instinct is...
The bit for me that really blew me away, there's nice touches, and overall you're kind of giving that sort of over warm glow of the whole thing. But the thing that blew me away is, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit, in open world games to this point, they've all been sort of varying gradients, but everything's kind of smoothly moulded into the next bit. Red Dead's a fantastic game, but a lot of the scenery is very sort of flows into the next bit. Although it looks like there's a texture that says, "Oh, this is rough terrain."
Yeah,
you don't always get the impression that you really struggling to counter any of it. Is there? There's no like, this is arduous to get over this bit, or this is hard work to get around this set of circumstances. You just sort of, I think in Red Dead, within reason, you could walk out of a town, pick an area on a map, turn your character towards it, push forward, and you keep going, and you will eventually get there.
Yeah, for sure.
Not so in Death Stranding. You can trip over a pebble.
Yeah. One of the things that really impressed me early on is on that journey to your first facility, or whatever. They are facilities where people are in hiding or living underground, awaiting deliveries from the couriers. He does like I don't know, you probably done it as a kid, or you come to like rocks at a similar sort of level, but there's a gap in between. You do that stepping stone thing, and he just did that. Like the zigzag stepping stones, and he did that like animation and just naturally walking up to them. And I just thought that was real cool. Like,
I also thought
little subtle touches like that.
The first time I've played a game as well where, I mean, basically, I'm not even going to deny, I know it's not going to be a lot of people's cup of tea because it's very slow paced. We said before it was right up my wheelhouse. I like games like No Man's Sky. I like to take my time. I like to build the lore in my head rather than let the game do it for me.
Yeah.
I know this has got plenty of lore, but in between the deliveries, you're kind of living in this guy's mind space.
Yeah.
And it's as far as a hiking stroke walking simulator is concerned, you literally are looking maybe 6 to 10 feet ahead of your character, and you're kind of picking subtle paths. Like, you can't go in a straight line. You've got to pick a meandering path through the different... And they're not trees, and they're not great big rocks, but they're just small cuts in the ground. Sometimes you see a well-worn path you can get on, and then you break off that, and you're down a gradient, and it's a little bit rocky, and you kind of slip in, and you're trying to get control of yourself. It's just the level of detail and the mundanity. That shouldn't really be a recommendation for a game. But
you made a good point when we first talked about it earlier in the week after both playing the first opening hours of it was so refreshing to not click a crosshair at a target and shoot.
All the normal gamification. I've said it before off air to you. Why do video games always have to involve, and even ones where you're like, oh, that doesn't happen in Mario. No, you're killing people in Mario. Why do games always boil down to the most simple mechanic of killing other game characters? Why?
It's a good point.
Why does a game have to be killing? I'm all for it. You know, as a gamer, my body count must be higher than Retro Gamer Thomas's. I mean, Pol Pot's nervous around me. But, in reality, life's not like that. And it was refreshing to play 3 hours into a game and there be a gameplay loop that didn't involve the killing of another NPC.
Yeah, I mean, he set out to make a new genre, and you'd argue a little bit.
It's on the back of the box if they look.
Yeah, it is.
Postal worker simulator with childcare issues. Quote unquote unofficial controller podcast. It's down in the legal blurb.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's there.
We made it.
Hideo said he would do it, and by God damn it, he did it.
Man of his word. So yeah, you progress. You get to this first facility, and a lot of the games like early lore and story explanation are put in front of you. It gives you more questions than it gives you answers, and it's still doing that now.
Well, my GF wandered into me playing it,
yeah,
and I stopped her. I said, because she's a gamer,
yeah,
I stopped her and said, "You're gonna have lots of questions. I don't know the answer to any of them.
No,
so don't ask."
So moving on from that, for me, really, really enjoying just the.
How many hours have you played?
Probably around 10 and a half.
Oh God, I feel bad. I've been away and I've smashed 20 into it.
Have you?
Plus.
Okay. So
I've reached. I have to confess, I've reached a point in the game where that Marmite, it's gone a little sour.
Yeah.
The difficulty curve. I mentioned to you this before. I was on the difficulty curve, and then I got to this section, and it just went straight up like a MiG-29 Fulcrum.
Do you feel like you've been given appropriate tools to deal with that in the game?
You've been... Like, it's not undoable.
Yeah.
But previous to this, it's felt like a cakewalk, and it's now dropped you...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's
like
dropped you in on your GCSE maths, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, God.
Like, you're getting these S ranks through the missions, you're doing the deliveries, and I was like, this is dead easy. And
well, I was the same.
I think I'm waiting for that punch to the low blow.
I did have a few moments in the early game where I kind of got... I was foolish with water, and I had a few moments where I sort of got dragged off and lost a few parcels, and I was super frustrated, and then returned those to the distribution office, and they're like, what the hell is this? What?
Crumpled up can.
What's this?
A couple of early highlights for me were your first main encounter with the BTs and walking through that small woodland to the wind farm.
That was awesome.
And you see the squid-like sort of creature, and the whole, like, it just floods the area with this black liquid.
That's unlike a mechanic or a graphical effect I've ever seen in the game.
Yeah,
before.
certainly impressive. And the only way is just like you are literally scrambling out, just trying to get to the end, and then getting to the wind farm. This is what I mean about the game needs for me to be played not tired and sort of a good couple of hours at a time, because otherwise this is definitely not pick up and play. You need to put aside a few hours when you want to play it and get lost in the world it's created. Coming back from the wind farm, you realise you can then build generators, and outside one of the first facilities is a motorbike or electric bike, which needs a generator to get it going. So the excitement, run over, get the motorbike going. It's a rusty heap, take it in the garage, get it sorted. The bike is awesome. If you're a fan of like that bike from the manga Akira,
it's nothing like that.
It reminds me of that a lot.
Oh, right.
When it goes into its boosted form, where the front two wheels go into one, I thought it looked quite similar.
Oh, I don't really use it in boosted. It uses too much battery.
Oh, gotta go fast. Sonic. No, it was good. Highlight for me that.
Okay.
So far, getting the bike.
Well, I can't wait till next week when I ask you what you've been playing. You've done another 10 hours. Like, I hate it.
Yeah. So, my closing thoughts on the dislikes. I've reached that point where I just said, last night I played it for probably half an hour, 45 minutes. I just felt like, I'm not getting back into this. And the delivery was quite difficult, and there was enemies on me. I was just like, now I've got to go back where I've just delivered to the facility again. Yeah. I just hope it doesn't wear thin. And the story is really intriguing, but there's a lot of pseudoscience in there, and sort of, I don't want it. 40, we forget games have to span, like, especially AAA titles, they try and span as long a time as possible, because it's an impressive feat to have on the roll call as to why your game is great. 40, 50 hours is hard to string a story out for.
You got to think as well, like Red Dead, 40 to 50 hours, maybe 60 hours, was it? Something like that.
Yeah.
But there were all those distractions, cards, baths.
Yeah. And you have a lot of support characters, whereas Death Stranding so far is quite a small main cast.
Very small cast.
And the people you deliver to outside of those other characters are very sort of, I think they're quite good for generic NPCs, aren't they?
Yeah, they've all got a little bit of Kojima about them. They're not just like random Bethesda, like...
I took an arrow to the knee.
I took an arrow to the knee, or worse. They're all played out in what I would call proper cutscenes.
I think one of the cool things is, the guy who... we've done spoilers, so no words. Dies early on in the game. He's the corpse disposal guy.
Yes.
You meet his brother, and he's just like a NPC, and
Same
quite
NPC.
Yeah. Yeah, they must have been twin brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Saving on a bit of budget there.
I did laugh at that.
Yeah. I thought that was quite cool that they're just adding a little bit more backstory. It makes those deliveries worth it if you're doing it for someone like...
I think that you pick the parcel up and first of all you think, that's interesting, I wonder what that's going to be. And then you do the walk and you're like, I've got to be careful here, I don't want to fall over this, and I'm falling over, I've got to sort myself out, I'm going to pick my good route, and there's BTs there and mules there, I'm going to go round, I'm going to go side, I'm going to be sneaky. And once you've done that, you've got that sense of greatness. But then you kind of want to see what they're going to say.
Yeah.
So you're kind of hooked on the load-up loop, the roll-out loop, and the unload loop are actually quite hooky. And I'm stuck at a difficult part at the moment. And do you know what? I'll confess. What's most frustrating me about this situation I'm in at the moment is I want to deliver the plumbing parcel, and I'm finding it difficult. And that's actually stopping me from taking away from my enjoyment. I want to walk unfettered. I don't necessarily want to feel that every time I walk to a new area, there's a mule camp right in between us.
Yeah.
And there's a BT on the edge, so don't go round the side, else you're going to have to... You've got to pick the lesser of the two weevils here.
Yeah. I think that's probably how it is going to be for the remainder of the game.
He's been very brave in some places, but he's been very old school game mechanic loop in others.
Yeah. It's got its faults. I'm not going to say it's perfect, and I probably wouldn't say I'm as enjoying it as much so far as I did Red Dead, but that's saying a lot if I was, because...
Who's won some tin pins?
Yeah.
Boba Loba?
Yeah.
He's doing well at the raffle recently.
He's done.
Yeah.
Done very well. Closing comments. If you're on the fence, there's no other way to say it than you really need to play it for yourself. Yeah, because the opinions are so divisive, I just thought, I'm going to buy it. If I hate it, I can trade it. If I like it, then great. I can play it and finish it.
Do you want my closing thoughts on it?
Yeah, go for it.
Dear listener, I can't recommend this game to you. I just can't. It depends. I can't just generically say you're going to love this game, go buy it. I've got to say to you, I can't recommend this game, but I kind of can. I'm enjoying it a lot, but it comes with these parentheses. Do you like walking simulators? Do you like Farming Simulator or other games like that? Do you like the mundanity of Yakuza, where literally sometimes you're just walking from place to place and having to watch cutscenes? If you're slightly interested in that sort of slow, methodical, almost No Man's Sky, someone came in and watched me play it and asked me if I was playing No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
If you're into those games, definitely look it out. If you're expecting Metal Gear Stranding, you're out of luck.
No, I mean, I have heard it gets more actiony towards the end, but I'm not fussed if it does, as long as I just want that story to...
Someone slaved over a 60-hour game, an old, I don't do spoilers, has gone and read about how the game ends.
No, just
You've not this time?
No, not at all. Just like the reviews saying towards like the last third of the game, the action side of it picks up a little bit more. That's as much as I know.
Probably makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, Tom, is that the feature done?
Yeah, we'll close out and say we really can't recommend it. You got to try it for yourself.
So there's an unofficial controller one for the box.
It
for
is.
the re-release.
Yeah.
We can't recommend this game.
No.
But we think you should try it. Tom, listeners, Stingray, when the big man makes a house call, you'd better be ready. These guys got in touch to show us their pickups from Stingray's boot. You can too. Just hashtag Stingray's boot on Instagram or Twitter or email us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com. It's all been a bit loose to boost this week, Tom. We've been very relaxed in our putting together of the show, making of the show, recording of the show, contributing to the show.
Absolutely.
Hang on a minute. We got Danny Plays says, I have a lot of unusual tastes and for some reason... Stop, rewind, pause. Listener Stingray, hang on. We've got 2 loyal listeners have commented. A little late, but we want to squeeze them in. I have a lot of unusual tastes for some reason, says Danny Plays. I'm more drawn to more obscure games, but one game which is more well known, I will always stand by, is Days Gone. Here. I remember reading so much nonsense about it when it came out, but I totally disagree. I thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough. The story was engaging, the atmosphere was great, I liked the combat. Foggy on Toast, Far Cry, all of them. I've seen the franchise get so much hate. It's just a reskinned version of the last game. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I love it. Give me all the skin. Also a big fan of the Gregory Horror picture show game from PS2. It's so bad it's good. Oh, can't disagree with you there, Foggy on Toast. And thank you always to the listeners for their contributing. Danny Plays, first time she's in the feature, Tom.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it? And
Good
I do believe
news.
we've had Foggy on Toast in before, so welcome back, good old Foggy on Toast. And now we're going to go, Tom, just
First up.
explain to the listeners how they might follow this meandering story on Instagram.
Yeah, so pick up your phones, go onto Instagram if you have it, put in hashtag Stingrays boot, and click on recent, and you'll see all the entries in the boot this week.
First up, double dipping like a hero. He's Finster Gamer, man of his word. He's gone and got a picture of a tub of Marmite. He's not just gone on Google Images to get this, Tom. He's literally gone down his local supermarket, slapped a picture in the boot of some Marmite.
He has.
I think Mumsy likes that. Who's next? He's out of his deathbed. Don't. Sharaban?
Sharaban.
Get well soon, Sharaban. You're back with us in the land of the living. He's got a whole mix of some of this Japanese nonsense here. I don't even know what it is, I'm going to confess. Tom, any clues?
I'm afraid not, no.
Okay, well, someone's going to put us right. Look, Sharaban himself will. Instead of looking at pictures, Tom, put your glasses on and read.
I'll get my readers on.
Sheriff, Uchi KG Collection. Good old Sharaban. Sega Junkie with some very mint-looking copies of Sega's Night Trap. the original one and then a re-release version in German there. That's nice to see.
Stuck in the pass lane, a guy who does Polaroid pictures.
Well, I've never heard of this. What's the story here, Tom?
Well, he has a Polaroid style photo. This week it's California Games. Trying to get rid of the winter blues, he says.
And what's he written? You've forgotten the main...
Dreaming.
Why would that be good?
No idea.
California Dreaming.
Oh.
It's maybe best that I announce those and you act all shocked and nonplussed.
Probably so.
My gaming space, what's he planning on doing? He's got a new fan for his PS2 and he's picked up a new shell for his Game Boy. He's got a fun-packed weekend planned as my gaming space.
I suppose you better put that next Sega Junkie thing in.
Sega Junkie's gone out there. He's ponied up and he's bought himself a Master System demo cabinet. The European demo unit that holds 5 cartridges, and it even looks like it utilises the Master System's joystick as its control input. It's fascinating, that. Well done, Sega Junkie.
We've got the current reigning champion, Rad Bash Gaming.
Rad Bash Gaming.
He's picked up what I guess is an enemy from Spyro.
A nasty Hawk.
Yeah.
With a G and a GN. I like what they've done there. Oh.
No.
He doesn't
Retro
know about...
Magnate.
Sharaban's poorly, and you're not even willing to bend your own rules for one of the loyalist listeners. Oh dear. Retro Magnate, he's got nearly every Transformer ever made.
Scooby-Doo
and the Mystery Machine as well. Mm-hmm. Nice work, Retro Magnate. Sega Junkie's so happy with this thing, he's put it in twice, 3 times, nay 5.
Welsh Game Hunter promoting the channel.
We love you, Welsh Game
Thank
Hunter.
you very much for that.
Thank you for that. The silent majority that when they power up and come to, the show can reach heights it's never reached before. So get behind it. Remember, Free Mumsy. #Free Mumsy.
#Free Mumsy. Well, the big man's here. He's cooking up a storm of 634 degrees.
My goodness gracious me.
He's got a Legendary World of Zelda booklet or magazine.
I'll tell you what, Daddy Zilla must have no eyebrows left operating at those temperatures.
He's got Pokken Tournament on the Wii U and Darksiders 2 on 360. That's a good title.
Good game.
Some other shovelware in there.
Retrovisions with some sort of fold-out joystick.
Yeah.
Steering wheel rigmarole for the N64. Oh, he asked me for a recommendation. The only game I could think of that I've played as a racing game on there when I wanted a bigger boys console and wanted Gran Turismo, but I had to settle for a Pony as Hell GT Championship on the N64, which was actually good. There was nothing wrong with the way it controlled, so seek it out if you want to put that simulation steering wheel to good use.
Have you seen what Retrovisions has got?
Retrovisions was planning on sending that to me because I'm such a good boy. He's got the Death Stranding Collector's Edition. I would probably, if I didn't already owe my kidneys and half the intestines to the loyal fan base, I think Dougal McBain owns at least one of my kidneys and half of my liver. If I hadn't already promised those out to the loyal listeners, I'd be offering Retrovision every bit of offal in my body for that.
I bet you would.
Someone who must have heard offal in my body and he's come knocking at the door. Look, Retro Gamer Thomas.
He's got some fresh pieces, fresh carcass there.
He knows how to appeal to me. Throw in a UMD, guaranteed to make it on the show. So he's got a UMD for Harry Potter. I don't know if that's the game or the film. It looks like the game, so it's got the joypad, little joy, the controller next to it. Smash, Squirt, Tennis 3. I think you need to clear your search history next time you buy a UMD, Retro Gamer Thomas. But he's also got Astrobot VR and he's got Back to the Future, the game. I think that's by Telltale Games.
It is.
Sega Junkie. We've seen him already before, but he's got the Power Strike trilogy. Just back up. We took 10 seconds. It takes longer for you to shake your head. There's us posting up the awesome picture by Comic Pictures 79 of Daddy Zilla and Devin Zilla, 2 of the loyalist members of the show.
I like how Devin Zilla looks like a young Padawan.
He does.
I love that.
Their likenesses well.
Yeah, that's great.
And the Zillas, the actual God and Zuki Zilla in the background there, they look incredible. Fantastic work. Do you know what? I offer up a one-off special community chest to exceed the value of a T-shirt of the show from Comic Pictures on Etsy, and all you've got to do is buy a t-shirt off of him, put it on, take a picture of yourself and put hashtag Stingrays boot. The first person to do that, to appear in the boot, dripping in merch, is going to get a community chest that exceeds the value of the Unofficial Controller podcast merch. That sounds like a win-win.
Good deal.
Is it that we don't explain ourselves properly? Or is it they're like tenner penny merch giveaway? I am bothered. Come on, guys. This is how we support you supporting us. We're like a bra. No, they're like our bra. Leave it there.
You leave that there. Critterpedia up next with a picture of a real stingray.
New listener or a confused poster. You work it out.
Yeah.
3 stingrays. Back when I had stingrays, they were waiting for me to drop the food in. Got stingrays, hashtag stingray selfie, hashtag stingrays boot, hashtag stingrays orange, hashtag PC pass stingrays, hashtag stingray straps, hashtag baby stingrays, hashtag stingray stand bar.
Do you reckon he's gone on Stingray's boot, seen all this
hashtag
gaming merch?
FUCK stingrays. That man's desperate for some stingray action.
He is.
Unless he's
French
actually...
Connection stingrays.
Is he procreating with those stingrays? Or is
Who
he saying he
knows?
doesn't like stingrays? Yet he has 3 of them.
Next, though, we've got Game Boy Matty, who did a great leaflet drop for us. Thank you very much.
In one shot, he did a literal leaflet drop.
He did, yeah.
His little antics around that show floor, who could not resist taking that flyer from that? And guess what? Someone he handed a flyer to is listening to this right now going, oh my God, this is like deja vu. I better get a t-shirt bought. Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, write the theme tune.
Yeah.
Are you done with Boot?
No. Anyway, Game Boy Matty has got some really nice prints of 2 childhood classics, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, and the first Ghostbusters, and also a Pac-Man banner.
Mikhail Rep, it's the first time in the boot, so he hasn't had to put in a picture of his kid in the hope of getting featured on the show. His first post is one of
That's awesome.
Super Smash Brothers. He's took the time
Japanese version as well.
to put the logos in the background. Very, very impressive stuff. Retrovisions, I think he's been in. So Ash's Game Room with a
Theme
very
Park.
mint copy of Theme Park on the PlayStation
That was a good
original.
game. Nice. That.
Sega Junkie, in and out, the yin yang, the
real
real liquid chalk. He's not listened to our recommendation. He's going to try it anyway because he likes Trucking Simulator, so he's going to love Death Stranding.
I played for about 4 hours and it's amazing. The intriguing story, the landscape, the soundtrack, not to mention the cute BB. Have you started Death Stranding? What are your thoughts?
Soothe BB. Soothe BB. The Barber Who Games, he's been and bought Death Stranding as well. Flip it over. Why is no one flipping it over and showing the box quote? Superman
On the Xbox.
on the Xbox. What one's that? The Man of Steel. Oof, never heard
Can
of
it be
that.
any worse than Superman 64?
Only on Xbox as well, though, Tom. They're proud of that exclusive. Dragon Warriors 2 on the NES. Duke Nukem on the 64. What's that? My eyes fail me, but it might be Rock and Roll Racing, actually. And he's also got a copy of Duke Nukem on the Game Boy Advance as well.
Yeah.
Does he tell us what he's bought? Duke Nukem, Dragon Warrior. Also picked up Superman.
Next up, though.
He mentions which game the other one was.
Yeah.
Not to worry. Mega Retro Geek. What's he got there, Tom?
Ultimate Spider-Man on the Xbox, Game Boy Player, and a few GBA games to go with that.
Call off the dogs because I've scared out the cat. Ozcat's here, look, Tom. .tv. He's been and bought Switch Lite. He's also been and
The
bought...
Pokemon version as
Once
well.
again, Stingray doesn't call at the bunker until he's offloaded at Ozcat's. Ever a game.
The Springs literally beg to get
This was a week
Ozcat's
ago
house.
and he's got Jumanji. How?
Yeah.
It's in the boot today.
Well, exactly the same with Pokemon.
Mikhail Rep, pulling at my heartstrings. He's done some puce-coloured flowers.
He's been on
He's in. Boom. You snooze, you lose. My gaming space.
Death Stranding,
We've done this because there's the Mega Jet. That's what they call, Tom,
The Turn of the Wheel.
the full turn of the wheel. All these catchphrases. How many have caught on? None of them. Some of them, not all of them. Tom,
Well,
it's time for a peek in what we affectionately call, hang on a minute, rewind. What am I doing? Last week I made the same mistake. We pay someone to type this nonsense every week. He's a work experience boy, but he does a pretty good job. That's all the dips in the boot for our listeners. Don't forget to hashtag Stingrays Boot or email us for your pickups to be read out. Let's cut straight to the chase, Tom. Where's he been? What's he been doing this week? Do you think we should start adopting, like last week he was Death Stranding and he was delivering stuff. He had Wayne Ray in a bottle with his own Wii, or possibly Tyson, we weren't sure. What's your mummy, and I'll theme that round what he's going to...
Fallen Order.
Okay. Well, Stingray was out dumpster diving earlier this week and he stumbled across an absolute skipful of Phantom Menace merchandise, fresh from 1999.
Do you remember that picture of Leonardo DiCaprio buying all of them Star Wars figures?
No.
Mate, it's real...
Do you know what? He should have been Anakin.
He should have been... I thought Hayden Christensen was all right.
But he has that look about him, especially in 1999, where he looked quite young for his age.
Yeah.
So he could have ticked Lucas's box for having a kid on set, and don't know why, questionable. And then he could have been the angsty teen in 2, and then probably a slightly plumper chap in 3.
Yeah.
With some heel razors on and a big hair. I'm 7 foot.
I thought he's quite tall in real life.
I've no idea.
I think he's about 6'1".
Well, just to confuse you more, if I ever see him in real life, I'm going to ask for a photo and get down on my knees and look up at him. Like, you're so tall, Leonardo. He'd thank me for that.
He would.
I'll put that in my, what did you call it last week? That you had a series of shots to show your range.
Yes.
He's got one in there to show how tall he is. With me on my knees. And then me next to something tall.
So he's been and basically dumpster dived at the back of Leo's apartment, dug out all the episode 1 Phantom Menace merch.
It's the granular detail that they love. Yeah. And he's been flogging that.
Yeah.
And for that reason, he's tearing up the drive, Tom.
With Sebulba figurines flying from the windows.
And maybe a Jar Jar plush on a stick recreating that sort of scene where he jumps him up and down. Wayne Ray's jumping up at Jar Jar head in the background. If you haven't seen the making of the Phantom Menace, we implore you to. Yeah. Spielberg just scratching his head. So what are these going to do, George? They're robots. Okay.
Highlighter. That's CGI.
Everything CGI. Just give me the CGI crayon. Anyway, you slipped up on this last week, so let's see if I can get in and out like the seasoned veteran I am. Time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingray's Boot, what's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battle for Endor this week. Boom. These are the new release highlights for the week November the 11th to November 17th, 2019. Here's another Star Wars quote for you, Tom. You can write this stuff, George, but you sure can't say it. Listeners, these are out digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast is in your feed, but could be region dependent. First up, the boots popped, the springs are settled. We've probably only got the money for the sound effect because Ponterbroy's been liquidated. Some of his assets have been liquidated after your confession about his wife last week, Tom.
Really?
Lady Ponterbroy's lover.
Whoops.
Anyway, I'll rip straight out the gates for Romancing Saga 3. It's out on every single format under the sun. PC, PS4, Xbox, Switch, and the mighty mastodon of home console on-the-go gaming, the PS Vita, well known as a successful device in and around the gaming community. November the 11th. Yeah, in Farmerton.
Well, no, we're giving away the county.
Oh, well, you've done it 6 times to this count.
Have I?
Sure, the fans will say every time, like, don't get my face in it, don't put my face in. But I'll comment on everything on the show as me with my own personal Instagram page, with pictures of me in it. How very hypocritical and weird. Anyway, this celebrated...
Private profile.
This celebrated RPG classic comes west for the first time. Well, if you're listening, you haven't added Tommy UK 73, do it. The celebrated RPG classic comes west for the first time. Experience a brand new HD remaster of the legendary 1995 RPG masterpiece, introducing optimised graphics and a new dungeon to explore, new scenarios and a new Game Plus function. I've just realised, as I read that out and blurted out some weirdo's Instagram profile, I thought to myself, the intrigue is going to drive more people to follow Tommy UK than actually follow the podcast.
It's all right. We can transfer the listeners.
Your gaming celebrity ego can handle that on Rush, can it?
Yes.
It's like you coming out of the pantomime rehearsals, getting flooded by all the preteens wanting a sign of this and a sign of that. I'll take this next one. My teeth are in, I might as well. Legend of Bumbo, out on the PC, November 12th. Hey, Devinzilla, I included this for you, because guess what? It's a puzzle-based deck-building roguelike prequel to The Binding of Isaac, made of cardboard. Oh no, it was Inky in the Stink Machine, wasn't it, that he bought last week? I got completely confused. Devinzilla, it's probably not a game for you. It's probably not even age appropriate.
No. Mad Games Tycoon, PC, PS4, Xbox and Switch, November 12th. Form your own game studio set in the early 1980s in a small garage. Develop your own game ideas, create a team and develop mega hit video games. Research new technologies, train your staff and upgrade your office space, going from a lowly garage to a huge building, expanding your business and dominate the world. That is a game for Nick Tyres.
I was going to say that's my mummy.
Really? Another simulator. After that, The Pit Infinity, available on PC, November 12th. Enter a legendary alien facility dug deep in the Feldspar Mountains, a massive pit built by the ancient Suka. Enter the pit again for the first time in this unique roguelike FPS hybrid.
VR Ping Pong Pro, PC VR, PSVR, November 12th. Rackets at the ready. VR. Now this looks like Rockstar table tennis in VR. I'm not kidding.
Really?
You. Yeah.
Okay.
You laugh. It's actually good. VR Ping Pong Pro is the follow-up to the hit table tennis simulator of 2016. VR Ping Pong. Test your skills with a variety of challenging game modes as you rise up the ranks to become the true Ping Pong Pro. Do you have what it takes? Pick up the virtual racket and find out. This next one I'm going to take, this is my other mummy, Bee Simulator. PC, PS4, Xbox and Switch, November 14th. Live the big adventure of a small bee. Explore a world brimming with life in which you collect pollen, defy dangerous wasps, and save your hive. Play with others in 3 game modes, include co-op and PvP on split screen.
My excitement for that title is at fever pitch.
Look, what was the other one I said? The game-making game, Bee Simulator, Death Stranding, and Ancestors, and I'm going to be happy boy at the end of this year.
Okay. He likes a simulator. Paranoia, Happiness and Mandatory, PC, November 14th. Lead a team of 4 troubleshooters of dubious loyalty who must mostly obey orders from a friend computer. A paranoid and irrational artificial intelligence. Inspired by the classic games of the CRPG genre. Experience the first official adaptation of the cult role-playing game.
You know, when we drew lots to decide who was going to be the RTS specialist, who's going to be the simulation game specialist and all that, I take my simulation game specialist seriously.
Yeah, I need to get a PC though to be an RTS specialist, really. Not just waiting for the random odd console ones that appear.
The Constructor got a re-release on PS4, you didn't even buy that. One of your favourite games on PS4.
None of them will ever be Battle for Middle-earth 2.
That's where you begin and end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Start, middle...
Maybe Command and Conquer Red Alert.
That's because one of the bigger boys said it.
No,
Stick by your guns.
I like that game. Sparklight, up next, PC, PS4, Xbox and Switch, November 14th. Sparklight is an action-adventure set in a whimsical and ever-changing land, battle foes in top-down action using an arsenal of gadgets, guns and gear. Gear up for adventure and explore dangerous corners of the procedurally generated world, take down titans of the mining industry and harness the power of Sparklight.
This next one doesn't look half bad, but don't let that be a recommendation from me. Jumanji the video game, PC, PS4, Xbox and Switch unite in adventure and laughter in the action-packed game of Jumanji, the ultimate team challenge for those seeking to leave their world behind.
Next up, Pokemon Sword and Shield on the Switch, November 15th.
Nintendo specialist, mummy?
Yeah, no, it's not. I'm not going to say anything about that because if you don't know what that is, you need to go back to the cave you came from.
Do I get the next one?
No, this is my mummy, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
About that, you might as well go back to the cave you came from.
PC, PS4, Xbox, November 15th.
Okay. Terminator Resistance.
Oh, I wanted this to be good, and it's just, I don't think it is.
I've heard that it is good.
Push Square gave it not a bad review. They said it was average, which is not a bad
as good
game.
as Days Gone then, right?
Yeah.
Terminator Resistance, PC, PS4, Xbox, and Game Boy Color. November 15th, Terminator Resistance is a first-person shooter set during the Future War scenario that was only glimpsed at in the iconic films. The Terminator and T2 Judgment Day. The machines are destined to lose, but at what cost?
What a world to set a video game in, and we just haven't got a good one.
Yeah, but the problem is,
like
it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet for the developers. It's like, this is great, we can do this and this and this, and there's too much. Sometimes you've got to limit your palate.
I just want like a real tense sort of chase game where you've got to like delay the Terminators. I don't know.
Do you think that's the problem? You've got your perfect Terminator game. I've got my perfect Terminator game.
What would yours be? Set in the future war?
No, not at all. No, it'd be
in the present, like in the.
I'm not quite sure. I'm either cut between you're a member of the Resistance that the machines feel they need to take down. John Connor couldn't have been the only person that they feel is in. You know, if everyone else died, John Connor lives. Seemingly, we're still going to get future war.
Yeah.
Okay, so there must be other people. So you could set the story around that.
Yeah, like I think that's
set it in another
might
decade.
Be what this is like,
or have it that you literally are a T800. And I don't want any namby-pamby or you know he's here to help people. You literally are, as it says on the box, the Terminator. And you're there to take down all these people in the past. So you arrive naked, bit like Dark Souls, kind of, and then you've got to get clothes, get them on. You've got to find some weaponry. Pretty cool game, right? Very slow, very methodical. You can fall over a Coke can.
Yeah.
Hold both triggers.
Speaking of films, Terminator.
Yeah.
It's time to pick out my film, VHS this week.
I'm glad you remembered. VHS.
I reach in. It's a copy of the film Next of Kin, starring Patrick Swayze, Liam Neeson, and the late great Bill Paxton.
I don't know about this film. Tell me everything about it. Is it baseball?
No. It is a film. It's an action film from, I think, the 90s. Basically, these three brothers, their other younger brother, who we don't see much of in the film, he gets killed at the start by mafioso-type gangsters. It's right at the start of the film. This is the plot of the film. Or the intro to the film.
How old is it?
I think it's 90s.
So
they come down from like the hillbilly sort of like country part of the country they live in, and they like wage war on these gangsters in the city. Pretty good.
Right, so those three dudes.
Probably terrible now, but I remember it being good back in the day. One of those sort of Saturday night action movies you'd watch.
Sounds like perfect boot fodder. Tokyo Ghoul, Recall to Exist, PC, PS4, November 15th. It may not be stylish, but live, eat, or be eaten. Tokyo Ghoul, Recall to Exist is a co-op survival action game that lets you experience the exciting world of Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re for yourself. And listeners, to send us to the bridge in the boot, if one Tokyo game isn't enough, how about playing Tokyo Warfare Turbo on the Xbox, released also on November 15th? It may not be stylish, but live, eat... Oh, no, that's the same one. Well, I'll tell you what Tokyo Warfare Turbo is, Tom.
Yeah.
It's a tank battle simulator set in and around Tokyo, Japan.
Is it? Does Godzilla appear?
No.
Unfortunately.
It might sound like I've made that up, but I haven't. They can scuttle off to their own independent internet machines or CFAX or whatever it is they use to get their gaming news. They can check that out.
I think it's a strong week, really.
Not bad. I had to cull some as well. There's some DLC for other games and some other bits and bobs I had to cut out because, you know, no one wants to hear us talk about new releases for 7 hours.
No, they don't.
What are you hoping to play?
More Death Stranding, I suppose.
Full stop, end of story. COD's on ice. Red Dead Redemption's under the bed.
COD's great just for like popping on, have a few games, and that's it.
Anything else?
No, hopefully going to put Jedi Fallen Order away till Christmas. Play that over Christmas break. Shenmue 3, like such a massive game that we've been waiting for so long for.
I'm getting it day one now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, I can understand why. I completely agree.
I'm up and down.
I just feel like it would have really benefited if they could have got it out earlier, but I'd rather it come out later and be finished.
It's not really that much later than they said, though, is it?
Not too much, but I feel like these past few weeks, it's like got go ups against some heavy hitters.
Might have been why they slipped it in the first place. It would have come out the same day as Death Stranding, if not. Or it would have come out this week, which was the same time as Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
They needed to push that to give it some air.
And Pokemon. You forget how massive that is. Really.
And they're all... No offence, I don't think Star Wars is that long, but it's a AAA title.
Yeah. It's roughly about 20 hours long, I read, if listeners want to know.
That's
on an
not
average
long.
playthrough. I think that's good.
If that was Death Stranding, I'd have finished it now. It's a week.
But there's a lot of padding in Death Stranding.
Concrete Genie kind of game.
Good game for Christmas, I think, though. And I may pick up Shenmue 3 for Christmas as well, so I can maybe...
Or you could buy that for your unable to speak child.
Yes.
Shenmue 3 would be a good first game. Let me try this out for you, boy. Make sure it's appropriate. Move out of the way.
40 hours later, I think it's all right.
40 years later. Can I have a go on my first Christmas present or what? Maybe.
When you finish 1 and 2.
Oh,
They will look horrible.
There'll be remaster, reimagine, rework where you're in VR and you're living with bloody...
Well,
reality.
it looks like he's not finishing at 3, does it?
Roll on another 20 years, another big Kickstarter and a royalty check from Sony. He's worked out how to make maximum bang from his book now, hasn't he?
Yeah. Build the hype over 18 years.
Build the hype. We're awkwardly hanging around.
We are.
Are
you going to be playing anything other than Death Stranding? Oh my goodness, hiccups. Yeah.
He's physically gagging back his own sick, having to share the limelight. Am I going to play anything other than Death Stranding? I don't think I've got as much travelling to do, so I might just put my efforts into Death Stranding.
Get it finished. You told me you want to finish the game before me. Finally be ahead and just...
Yeah, but then I said that all bullshit before I walked into the brick wall, which is a difficulty spike.
Yeah.
I feel like to do this next part, I need about 15 ladders and 20 bolo guns.
Yes.
You don't know about bolo guns?
No, but it's all right. I've seen them in the trailers.
Yeah, I knew about them from the get-go, so when we didn't have one at the start, I was like, oh, where's my gun?
Yeah, I kind of expected...
Everyone gets a gun in a game. We talked about this already.
Yeah, I keep thinking at some point that you're just going to have like an M16, but I really don't think that's going to happen.
No. Well, unless it fires like bullets containing your own urine.
Yeah.
Or number 1 and number 2 grenades. That's never been funny.
How did you find that first boss fight? It was weird, the fact that you had to go and pick the boxes up like you were still doing deliveries, and then you're chucking the grenades and... It's all right. I didn't.
I'll be honest with you. It went down easy, didn't it?
Yeah, it did go down very easy.
Real easy. Like this. And I think that's the problem. Some of this first 20 hours is being gentle to you.
Yeah.
Being real gentle with
But I'm curious to see how the boss fights are going to work.
Do you know how many
enigmatic
enigmatic grenade boxes you took with you on that one boss fight?
There's loads lying about though, so I didn't really think much of it.
Well, you took about 8... Was it 6 or 8 boxes of enigmatic grenades was the loadout to start with? And
yeah.
as you rightly say, there's loads around there as well. It was unlosable.
But they're your only way of fighting it, so they've got to have, like, imagine the glitches that would be there if they didn't make sure there was enough. Anyway.
In fact, I tell you what, I haven't even used in anger an EX number 1 or number 2 grenade, as hilarious as they are.
I just forgot I had them. Came across BTs and was like, just panicked, ran, and never used one.
EX grenade number 1 is in your private locker. I never look in there. I just fabricate.
Yeah, the private locker almost seems useless at some point.
I'm going to go in private locker one day and there'll be like 6 stories of my own feces and urine stored, just in case.
Just in case you need the grenades.
And like every good gamer girl, you even get to keep your bathwater.
Yeah. Sell that off.
Life imitating art, imitating life.
Yeah.
Art in video games. Be a good name for a show.
It would.
Tom, see you next week.
See you next week.